Welcome to this edition of Along the Rock, brought to you by the Radar Free Press. I'm your host, Nathan Stahr, and with me today I have WQAD's Good Morning Quad Cities senior meteorologist, Andrew Stutzke. Andrew, thank you for coming up here today with us.
Hey, yeah, great to be here.
So one of the things we want to talk about is with the winter months getting close to hand, and I imagine that there's nothing more unpredictable than the weather. So as a meteorologist, how far in advance can you actually predict major snow or ice events with confidence?
There is no greater challenge in the land of weather than trying to predict winter weather. Hands down. I would rather predict a severe weather day or a day with rain and heat than trying to predict how much snow is going to come with a winter storm. Just to set the preface for how difficult winter weather forecasting is. So I would say, confidently right now, a week out, we can usually get a pretty good heads up, something may be coming in. Mm-hmm. You get about 5 days out, a little more specifics, timing, are we going to get rain versus snow? And then once we get to about 3 days, that's when we start getting what everybody wants to know. Yeah. And that is how much snow are we going to pick up? So there's a nuance to this. Of course, with technology, it's always improving, it's always getting better, but still has its quirks. Yeah. Mother Nature's going to do what Mother Nature wants to do, and that's what makes it really challenging for us.
So with the way technology is now, do you have any idea on what kind of weather we're going to have this winter? Whether it's going to be cold, whether it's going to be icy, whether it's going to be snowy, or is it going to be mild? Can you predict that fairly well at this point in time during the year?
Yeah, we can get you a general consensus on what the overall themes are going to be. We start looking at the winter weather pattern and the forecast as early as August, because by the end of summer, we're starting to get a couple of pieces of this puzzle that we put together every single year. A lot of it has to deal with long-term impacts to weather, including, is there an El Niño going on? Is there a La Niña going on? Are we in the midst of a drought at that time, or have we had a lot of rainfall and the ground's got a lot of moisture that it can help with in terms of getting moisture in some of the storm systems that we would see this winter? So we think, based on what we're seeing right now, we know there's going to be a weak La Niña that's going to be developing. The reason kind of our weather has been so crazy as of lately with going from a wet July to a dry September and an overall dry August is the fact that we had none of those at play. Mm-hmm. So our weather was very variable. But we know a weak La Niña is coming in for this winter. We've been through those before, by the way, many of them recently in the last decade. So we're kind of trending winter this year to be colder than normal. But there is also a wild card in that we're likely going to have more snow than normal too. Now, how much more snow, we can't really pinpoint yet, but the storm track will be nearby and it'll have plenty of cold air to work with. So that kind of signals we're going to have a little bit more snow than normal to deal with.
Okay, well, that'll be interesting because I've noticed it over. I remember when I was a kid, when we had snow days, it was go out and play in the snow. You had mounds of it. You could build forts and throw snowballs, and it just seems like the last several years, almost a decade, it's just been it's like you might get a day or two here that's kind of nice, but other than that, it's it's really, it didn't feel like that hometown winter that you kind of normally have for the holidays.
And that's what everybody I hear all the time. They say, it's been so long since we've had a good old-fashioned winter. And I say, well, what's your definition of an old-fashioned winter? And they're like, well, more than just a day or two of snow and cold. We're talking multiple days worth. And I agree. It has been that way for quite a while, that we just have not seen that longer drawn-out winter pattern.
Yeah. So leading into the winter with what you're telling us now, do you have any suggestions on what homeowners should do for kind of taking care of their home and preparing for winter, or even what they need to do to prepare to be driving on their commutes to work or to the grocery store?
Yes. So if you had asked me this question about 6 years earlier, I wouldn't know because I wasn't a homeowner then. Now I've got 6 years of home ownership experience under my belt. And, some of the best things you can do to prepare: windows, making sure you've got good windows, because that is definitely a huge source of cold air that's going to come into your home. Make sure your door seals are good and ready to go. The doors were actually one of the first things I replaced in my house when I moved in. A lot of the seals were worn out, a lot of air leaks coming in. So make sure those are nice and tight, ready to go. Also, don't forget your insulation. I actually had a point at my house, my closet, one of the walls was missing insulation and it was an outside wall. So that had to be fixed. just making sure you're nice and tight in your home for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. We found out if you have an attic, it's another thing to make sure you've
Yeah.
got insulation up there, because that makes a huge difference in
Yeah.
keeping that heat within your house.
And tune-up, furnace tune-ups are so important. I'm not an HVAC technician. I'm not getting commission from an HVAC company, by the way. But personal experience on the years that I skipped my furnace tune-up, that was the year it came January and February. It was the coldest week of the year, and I had an issue that I had to call a repairman. So do not skip any of that. That is stuff you need to do.
All right. And then, so what would be your go-to emergency kit item to have in your vehicle in case you end up having a breakdown during a cold winter day?
Sure, yeah, and I have a lot of experience with this too. I was a commuter college student. For the first year I was at Channel 8, I commuted back and forth from right here in Sterling Rock Falls. So of course, a lot of the things I had, you want to have an emergency blanket, even 2 blankets. Just even the cheap ones you can get at the big box stores. The fleece ones, put that in your trunk, because if you get stranded somewhere and you're not able to have your car running, you need a way to keep warm. Maybe an extra pair of hat, gloves, cat litter. Of course, if you get stuck, sand, that works as well. I'm also seeing too now, a lot of stores are carrying these tracks. They're very inexpensive. They come in a small box, but you can unfold them in the snow.
I actually have a set of that,
Yeah. So that's a big thing that I think people should have. First aid kit isn't a bad idea either, just in case. But definitely you want to have some water, the way that you can stay hydrated. And also, of course, make sure you have a good solid pair of jumper cables, because a lot of us will find out, myself included, in the heart of winter that my battery's not as strong as I thought it was. And probably should have replaced that over the summer, but you want all of that.
Okay, well then, another thing I've got in mind is what's a misconception that people have about the winter weather forecast itself?
So a lot of folks, especially when it comes to forecasting, so we concentrate so much on the numbers. We look at a snowfall event of 1 to 2 inches, and most of us are like, oh, that's no big deal. I'm going to get to work okay. Traffic's going to be fine. I can go the normal speed. That's what most of us assume. We don't think until the snow gets to about maybe 6 inches or 8 inches or a foot there, it's like, now I really need to slow down. Now I really need to be leaving ahead of time a lot extra earlier. That's not the case, and it's such a big misconception. Even an inch of snow is responsible for so many accidents. And it doesn't matter if it's in town, if it's out of town, if it's on the interstate, on the tollway. I think just people, getting in the mindset of it's not so much the amount of snow, it's just snow, period. Right. And when it's going to be coming in and what the temperature is going to be when it's falling and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do notice that it seems to be quite a few accidents during that first snowfall of the year. We always joke that it seems like people forget how to drive in Illinois during the wintertime. But I can imagine that any slick surface is not a good surface.
It is not, no. And it's one of the things we're finding too is our winters are starting later. So that first snowfall keeps getting delayed every year. How many Christmases have we gone through lately where we've had no measurable snow on the ground?
Right.
So, the fact that we're delaying that practice, if you will, we're just getting a piddly little snowfall, and then all of a sudden we get this big one, everybody forgets how to drive because it's been so long. So that doesn't help either.
Yeah. All right, and so this is going to kind of sound like a setup, but where can viewers find the most reliable and up-to-date information when a storm's coming in?
Well, of course, WQAD.com, whether it's on the website or the television or the Storm Track 8 app, all great resources. I also have to shout out, especially the folks that are lucky enough to live near one of our camera locations who we partner with, SaukValleyWeather.com. That's another great resource to check out, whether it's in-town driving conditions or anywhere else we happen to have a camera. Yeah. We are so lucky to have that camera network. And that's a really good way, too, before you hit the door to see what the roads look like. Yeah.
Well, it's a good plug for us as well, because we actually have one of those cameras up on our roof that I'm sure a lot of people mention that they see it on Channel 8 all the time.
We love that partnership, and we're glad that we're the only folks that can give you that extra look. So we're happy about that.
All right. Well, Andrew, I want to thank you for coming up to the studio and talking with us today. We also want to thank our production crew and also our viewers for tuning in. Remember that the Radar Free Press is free, so we rely on those likes, shares, and comments to keep us thriving. And if you'd like to check out more videos like this, visit theradar.online.